Today, we are excited to welcome Kathy Goss, President and CEO of Lakeview Cemetery Association. Kathy has been visiting Lakeview Cemetery since she was a young girl and fondly remembers her father taking her on the tour of the generations of family laid to rest at Lakeview. It was this deep-rooted admiration that led Kathy to join the Lakeview Cemetery Board of Directors over 15 years ago, and in 2010 she joined Lakeview as the executive director of the cemetery's foundation. In 2013, Kathy became president and CEO, charged with management, operations, and marketing of the cemetery. Still today, Goss remains one of the only few women leading major historic cemeteries in the United States. Prior to joining Lakeview, she had a distinguished career in financial and investment management, joining Merrill Lynch as one of the first women in the field, and later worked for several other financial service firms. In 2005, she became a founding partner of Cedar Brook Financial Partners, serving as investment advisor and the firm's marketing director. Her switch from investment management into the cemetery field may seem unusual, although she holds the process of planning with families is very much the same. And at Lakeview, she combines her career with her personal interests, as Lakeview Cemetery is a haven for horticulture, wildlife, culture, and history. And we are proud to call her a graduate of Leadership Cleveland class of 2024. Please welcome Kathy.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I'm going to share my screen here, and it is my pleasure to be here today. I have enjoyed every minute of being CEO of Lakeview Cemetery. This is endlessly fascinating here. I never have a boring day, so I'm going to get right down to it and tell you what we've got going on here. First of all, we're 155 years old. We are open to everyone. We always have been, ever since day one. Our first president was Jephthah Homer Wade, the Wade Circle and the Wade founders of the Art Museum. And he was quoted in a Cleveland paper at the time saying, "Lakeview Cemetery is open to all stations in life." That was his wording. So hold on one second here. Can everybody see my screen? Are we good? Okay. All right. We are open to the public every day, 7:30 a.m. We close at dusk. Depending on the season, it can be as early as 5:30, and in the summertime as late as 7:30. So we're open to everyone to come in and stroll and enjoy the grounds. Our cemetery is like it is because in the early 1800s, there was a movement to change cemeteries to be more like a rural garden. And there was a whole movement that started in Europe, and Americans took it on. The first rural garden cemetery in the United States was in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Mount Auburn Cemetery. And the whole purpose of it was not to be as much of a graveyard as a place for the living, someplace beautiful. So when you came to visit your relatives and your loved ones, that you were in beauty around you. One thing that makes Lakeview different than a lot of cemeteries is that we have an endowment set aside to be maintained in perpetuity, which means a portion of every sale that happens here at Lakeview goes into a trust to make sure that we can take care of our trees, our grounds, and our buildings, our historic buildings. We are now a level 2 accredited arboretum, who's pictured right here on the screen. A few of our tree huggers from Bartlett Tree, who we partner with, and they are standing in front of a Moses Cleveland tree, which means it's over 225 years old. These trees are very valuable to us. We have about 7 of them, and these guys are actually here today taking care of trees as part of a program called Saluting Branches, where they give us a day's worth of work in honor of all of our veterans who have served in the military who are buried here. We are ranked one of Cleveland's top destinations. What you're looking at is the Garfield Memorial. recently restored to its natural stone beauty. And Garfield is open until November 19th, every day from 10 to 4 with several guides. It's free. And that balcony that's pictured there, right above the friezes on the door, that is one of the best views of the lake in Cleveland and downtown. You can see 40 miles of shoreline from the Garfield balcony. That's the before and after. A few years back, it was dark, blackened by industrial pollution, and today the image on the right is what it looks like after a 10-year process of restoring it. This is Wade Chapel, and Wade Memorial Chapel is another fantastic destination. It is entirely Louis Comfort Tiffany glass on the inside. It's absolutely stunning. It's open to anybody that wants to have a memorial service, but this is also open to the public. It's free. Our guides are there until about mid-November. We don't keep it open with guides during the winter months because it's not heated particularly well, but anybody can have a service here. And it is also worth the visit to come and just see what's going on at Wade Chapel. So we're also an arts and culture institution. And what you're seeing here is this fabulous party that we had a couple years in a row with Karamu House. And they had a fundraiser called Sneaker Ball and Second Line Parade. And we had hundreds of people here celebrating life and it was a cemetery-based theme. And we had a lot of fun. And that is one of the many kinds of events that we have all year round: walks, talks, tours, concerts on Sundays. And coming up, speaking of Sunday, my pitch, we have a 5K run and a 2-mile walk. And we're inviting all dogs to participate. We have a fun relationship with Friends of City Dogs. So some of our proceeds help support city dogs, and they'll be bringing some adoptable dogs. But this is one of the most fun things we do all year. And the race starts at 8:50 and 9 o'clock, depending on which version you're going to take. And this is a great fundraiser for us. And the funds go toward preserving and maintaining our grounds, the public uses of our grounds. We have 114,000 residents who are currently buried here, and we have 0 complaints from any of them. And I'm sorry that we didn't have the video going, but we are ongoing. We have 6 memorial advisors who are selling spaces to people, families. We love to sell in advance of a need. We call it pre-need arranging. And that's a big piece of what we do. But if it's an immediate need, we certainly take care of that as well. And I won't do this video, but I'm going to show you a couple print ads that we've used recently with a print and social media. And I invite you to follow us on social media. Our campaign this year was called Post Retirement. And it was cheeky and playful: expand your real estate portfolio underground. Had a little bit of a investment spin to a play on words, which we like to do when we're doing pre-need planning. We obviously never make fun of death or grief or bereavement of any kind, but we hope that people will think of us ahead of a need and come in and see what's available. And so with that, I'd like to just kind of open it up for questions, because I think that'll be the most interesting part of this. Yes, we have lots of space available, and we're developing more. We probably have enough space for about 75 years to come. And we are open to anybody, any religion, any walk of life whatsoever. We always have been. And we are not expensive. So if you're not the president of the United States or you're not John D. Rockefeller, which none of us are, you do not need to worry. We'll have something for you in every single price range. And so it's our pleasure to serve the community. And Rachel, I think I'll just open it up.
Kathy,
Um,
thank you so much. So actually, let's talking about kind of the funding and accessibility. What are the options for someone who might not have the funds to cover the costs of sliding scale, scholarship, for being able to be buried at Lakeview?
So one of the reasons why we hope that people will start in advance, we can offer discounts if we're planning in advance of a need. We offer interest-free payment plans up to 4 years, and they are just our payment plans. We don't have a corporate structure. We don't need good credit or, anything like that. We just have payment plans for people that can pay in advance, and we also have a lot of discounts available. So what we would suggest is that someone come check us out and let us show you how we can make it affordable for almost everyone. And some of the most affordable options actually come in a form of cremation right now, which is a big trend on the rise. About 38% of our business is cremation. And but we honor all traditions of religions or, cultural customs.
Kathy, I think many of us, when we think of Lakeview Cemetery, think about who's buried there, more of kind of that destination. But how do you balance that with still being a working cemetery and kind of really selling that message?
So I know. Well, we're always balancing that internally too, because we have tours and we have to make sure that people who are having funerals here have the privacy and the peace that they want and need and expect. But we do it with some careful coordination. There is kind of two prongs to us. There's the fun stuff, and then there is the serious business of helping families memorialize somebody that they love. And I think we do it pretty well. All of these departments work very collaboratively, and we're not really in competition. I think one of the things that makes us very different from other cemeteries is that we want long-term relationships with families. So if you come to a walk or a concert and you like Lakeview, perhaps you'll remember us when you have a need for a cemetery. And then if you have a need for a cemetery, perhaps you'll remember that to come to some of our events and maybe help support our foundation work by making an annual fund donation. So it's a bit of a flywheel where we keep people involved and engaged in our work here from the beginning to it just is very circular. And we want families to think of Lakeview as a second home here in Cleveland.
How do you look at green burial? And what might the opportunities there be at Lakeview?
Yeah, so right now, two parts to this. There's a future section that we're developing, but right now, how we handle green burials is we allow a container to go, let's call it casket. It's a casket or some kind of container to go into the ground. And what we do is we take what normally would be a burial vault, which is a lining of a grave, and we turn it upside down like an old-fashioned butter dish, and we put it on top of and over the body, the deceased. And what that does is it helps keep our ground even and level. If we didn't do that, we might have a washboard effect of going across a lawn where graves would cave in over time due to decomposition and that sort of thing. So the person is still green in that they are connected and lying on the earth, but we have a lid over it so that the actual ground where people would be walking or visiting will be level. And then in the future, we do have some areas off of our nature trail where we're looking to do 100% green. It's in a little bit of a wooded area, so we're not too worried about the actual turf and the level of it. And we're going to test the market. Sometimes when people find out that it doesn't involve a marker and it's just, you're just there and you're in the ground and nobody really might remember where you're located, sometimes they back off from that and they say, well, wait a minute, I kind of want to go green, but is there a way we can modify it? If that makes sense.
And Kathy, you mentioned the foundation, and that's actually how you came into Lakeview Cemetery. Can you talk a little
Yeah.
bit about the work of the foundation and how it
Yeah.
complements the work of the staff?
So the foundation was established in the 80s when at that time they were doing some work at the Garfield Memorial also and established the 501c3 foundation. And so the business of the cemetery is also a nonprofit, but it's not a 501c3. But our foundation creates all of our enrichment activities, our educational programs, our walks, our talks. They raise money, the foundation raises money for the common areas of the cemetery, maintaining and preserving and planting trees. So there's actually right now, in recent years, they've funded tree work in 9 sections of our cemetery. It's a very significant amount of tree work. We've removed some dead and unhealthy trees. We've planted over 100 trees, and they are the ones that are getting grants for that work and from individuals, from families, foundations, and also some public money um, through Cleveland Tree Coalition and other public entities. And so that's a big part. Plus, I should not forget to mention that all the restoration money of $8 million, rather, 8.2 million, was raised through the foundation for the Garfield Memorial restoration.
What is it about the cemetery, or what do you know about the cemetery that most Clevelanders don't that they should?
Hmm. That's a good question. Well, I think one thing that comes up is I don't know if people really know how diverse our clientele is. I think that there's still a perception that it's a little bit of a East Side centric place and maybe it's for white people. And that's actually a fairly small piece of our business today. 38% of our customers come from the urban neighborhoods that are contiguous to Lakeview. And we have a lot of different nationalities here. We have a big Greek community. We have a lot of Jewish families choosing Lakeview now. Cemetery next door to us is getting full. And so some of those families are coming over. We have a section that's dedicated to Suburban Temple, specifically for that Suburban Temple partnership. And there are many other examples of that. But I think we sometimes have a reputation of, well, this John D. Rockefeller is here and President Garfield, but really, some of the, we have Carl Stokes, we have Lewis Stokes, we have, I could go through a lot of famous people. We have, oh wait, I'm sorry, I just forgot her name for a minute, but I'll think of it in a second. But we really have a beautiful example of what Cleveland really looks like, and which we're very proud of. And by the way, that's nothing new either. That is started in the very beginning. So,
With your time at the cemetery, what has been your favorite story?
hmm, my favorite story. Oh gosh. Well, I think some of the people that are coming in now, the modern history is very interesting. A lot of people come here and they're fascinated by the families of the Gilded Age. And of course, with the show, The Gilded Age and Downton Abbey, people just love to envision like what that could have been like. Um, and really, the families today are fascinating to me, and how they personalize their memorialization here. Our monumentation is so unique. Back in the early 1900s, people stuck more to sort of what social standards dictated. But today, people want to tell their story in stone that is amazing, and they're very creative. And so, I kind of like all that modern history. I think Alan Freed, who is the DJ that coined the term rock and roll, I would say that was one of my more unusual calls when Alan's son, Lance Freed, called me from California. And I thought it was almost a gag call at first, but he said that his dad had to leave the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There was an urn over there, and that he wanted to find a permanent place for him. And over the course of a year, we've found the perfect place and designed a monument for him that is hand carved to replicate a Rockola jukebox. And that was an incredibly fun project.
And staying on that theme, there are so many beautiful tombstones. Do you have a personal favorite?
Well, I do. And I don't know much about the family, but there are two stone women in shrouds that are in section 12, which is not too far from the Garfield Memorial. And they're up on a hill. The family name is Peck. And um, I don't know the history of this family, but two children predeceased the parents. And these stone sculptures are life size. And everything from the fingernails and the bare feet and the way it was carved, it's so beautiful, and it's so mournful, really, of the depicting the grief this family felt for these girls who died before the parents. But they're kind of haunting, but it's just beautifully done. They look like they're in cloth shrouds. You can't believe they're stone. I mean, they're very realistic. So that's one of my favorites. And then the Hazarat angel, which is a big bronze, beautiful angel that everybody loves. And this time of year, we're going to have a lot of Halloween photos taken by that one. But that angel is her face is patinaed to look like tears. And so that's another one that I love. There's a lot of them.
So Kathy, you had an interesting transition from kind of the business world into Lakeview and the management. What was that transition like, and what has kept you with Lakeview all these years?
I know. I was involved. I was a trustee for about a year. We got involved in a strategic plan. And as I was getting through the strategic plan and realized that there wasn't any way that the current staff would be able to implement it, I was more and more. My family's at Lakeview, by the way, both sides of my family, mom, dad, all the way back to great grandparents on both sides. So I've been coming here my whole life. And I got so committed to this strategic plan that at one point the board was saying, we're going to have to find somebody to run Lakeview and do this. And I threw my hat in the ring and I said, listen, maybe bring me into the foundation and let me get the fundraising started, because that was non-existent at that time in 2010. There was one letter a year that went out for a donation. And when I got here, I saw that it was a lot like a company that maybe is on its third generation, and there were no policies or procedures or anything. And I just felt like I saw exactly what needed to happen, and I wanted to get into it. So, I kind of made a deal. I said, just let me go at it and see what happens. And if you don't like the work, you can fire me. And that was 15 years ago.
But clearly something worked out pretty well there.
I think it did. It's really one of my favorite things that I've done in my entire career, by far.
Well, then let's look to the future. What's coming for Lakeview Cemetery?
So, just between us, um, we are making some plans to improve some of the buildings that we have and repurpose these gorgeous stone buildings that were once made by our stone masons who worked here. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, but we don't have any indoor space for families to gather, for the community to gather. And so we're in the process of working on a plan. And we've got some design concepts to create a celebration center that can be used for the entire community. And we can host all kinds of events there, everything from concerts to walks and talks, educational programs, and for families to meet before or after services and have an ability to do some light catering and that sort of thing. So right now, up until this point, we've poured all of our money into the outside, and now we need some indoor space. And we're working with Vocon to create some really beautiful space, reusing a lot of our resources, repurposing. And so stay tuned.
Well, Kathy, as you look ahead to that vision, what support do you need from those of us on the call to help you reach it?
Well, I'll tell you what, come and experience Lakeview. Come on a weekend or whatever after work and walk and spend a few minutes here and just take it in. It's pretty, I don't know if addicting is the right word, but it is, nobody feels worse when they leave. Really, people feel better. There's lots of trees you can hug, and it's a wonderful healing space. And I would say, come and enjoy it and visit, and you'll see why I want to invest so heavily in the future and have some beautiful space for everyone in Cleveland to enjoy.
Kathy, it is absolutely gorgeous there. I highly encourage everyone, if you have not been, to please visit. And if you haven't been in a while, to go back. Kathy, thank you for all that you and your team do to create this beautiful, wonderful historical space in our community.
Thanks for having me today.